Hey everybody, this is the Mage of Ancients, and I'm here with my Blue Eyes Guardragon deck profile for July 2019. This is the latest spin on my Blue Eyes deck profile overall, and I gotta say, it's one of the most fun combo decks, one of the coolest combo decks that I've ever tried out in a while. The reason why I put this deck profile off for so long is because, for one thing, I wanted to be able to practice with this deck, of course, to see how well it does. Also, I did want to wait until the ban list drops so that way you guys don't get confused in case I upload this Blue Eyes Guardragon deck profile too early, so that way you would guys would get confused as to what kind of cards I would actually be running. In fact, before this, I actually thought about running the Eclipse Wyvern and the Black and White Dragons in this deck. But of course, like I said, I wanted to wait until the ban list dropped, and so we lost Eclipse Wyvern, so I'm no longer running the Black and White Dragons, but the deck is still consistent overall. And surprisingly, with a certain Dragon Ruler getting unbanned, I figured that my Blue Eyes Guardragon deck profile would be a good place to start incorporating that Dragon Ruler into my decks now. But stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you how that Dragon Ruler can be incorporated into this deck. But before I get started, if you guys enjoy deck profiles just like this and the other content that I produce on this channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you stay updated on my latest Yu-Gi-Oh videos. With that being said, I don't want to drag on for too long. See what I did there? Anyway, let's get started with this Blue Eyes Guardragon deck profile. To start off with the monsters, of course, I am maxing out on 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. I just like being able to put out as much damage on the board as possible, in addition to having as many disruptions on the board as possible. So that's why I decided to run 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Of course, if you guys don't feel comfortable with maxing out on Blue Eyes, then you can cut 1 copy at least. Then 2 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Being able to search for these with Melody of Awakening Dragon is pretty good. Then afterwards, 2 copies of White Stone of Ancients and only 1 copy of White Stone of Legend. You don't want to have more than 2 copies of White Stone of Legend in your deck, because you just want to be able to have as many extenders and starters in your opening hand as possible. And using the effect of White Stone of Legend when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, while you already have another one in your hands, feels kind of redundant. So that's why I decided to just run only 1. White Stone of Ancients, it lets you special summon Blue Eyes White Dragons from your deck. During the end phase in which it was sent to the graveyard, and it also lets you add back Blue Eyes White Dragons from your graveyard. And to round off the Blue Eyes portion of this main deck, I run only 2 copies of Sage of Dyes Blue. It's a pretty good card, although if you have too many in your opening hand, then you basically brick. It's actually something that one of my commenters actually told me before this deck profile, and I'll go more into in depth with that later. So Sage of Dyes of Blue, if you normal summon it, then you can search for either of these white stones here. Also, if you have an effect monster on the field, then you can discard this, send that effect monster to the graveyard, and then special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. And just like pretty much any other Guardragon build, I do run If the World Challenge Justiciar, and if you have Sage in your hand, then you can send that If to the graveyard, so not only can you special summon a Blue Eyes from your main deck, but you're also able to get the effect off of Ib, where you can special summon a World Chalice monster from your graveyard or from your deck. And then afterwards, I run the Dragonets, 3 copies of Dragonet and 1 copy of Galaxy Serpent. If you normal summon it, then you can special summon your Galaxy Serpent from your hand or your deck. Next up, this is something that I totally did not expect to actually be running in this deck build. 3 copies of Lightning Dragon Ruler of Drafts, and freshly unbanned, 1 Tempest Dragon Ruler of Storms. So you can discard Lightning as well as 1 other Dragon or Wind monster, from your hand, and you can special summon Tempest straight from your deck. And what's really cool about Tempest is it has all these special effects that you can use. So if this card is banished by, let's say, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, then you can search your deck for any Wind Dragon monster from your deck. So in this case, it can either be Lightning Dragon Ruler or World Chalice Guardragon. It's a Wind Dragon itself. Yeah, speaking of which, I forgot to put it down. I do run 2 copies of World Chalice Guardragon. You can banish it from your graveyard and special summon any normal monster from your graveyard. And then, what else does the Tempest or the Dragon Ruler do? You could discard this card and 1 Wind monster, and then you can search for your deck for any Dragon-type monster from your deck to your hand. And then finally, to round off the monsters, I run Omni Dragon Brotor. This lets you search your deck for any monster as it has the same attribute and type as any other monster you have on the field. And Chaos Dragon Levianeer. You banish 3 monsters from your graveyard. You can trigger an effect depending on the attributes of the monsters that you've banished in order to special summon it. And finally, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Every time it's on the field, you can special summon a dragon monster from your hand or graveyard. So as long as you keep taking it off the field, you can bring it back. You can constantly special summon as many dragon monsters as you'd like. Next up for the spells. To my surprise, the only spell card that I'm maxing out on is Called by the Grave. And it's a good thing too, because this Blue Eyes Guardragon deck is very susceptible to hand traps. So you want to be prepared for that, just in case your opponent tries to throw anything funny at you. Next is a card that I didn't really expect. I did not initially expect to run in this build, Signet Mining. The problem with Signet Mining is that you neg 1. You have to send the card from your hand to the graveyard to search for your Draconet. However, I did get this comment on my bonus video that I posted this past Wednesday, where I'm running 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue, and the commenter basically said that Sage is very slow. So I decided to cut out 1 copy of Sage and 1 copy of Return of the Dragon Lords and just put in 2 copies of Signet Mining, just so that I'm able to search out for my Draconet. Personally, I would have liked to run 3 copies of Sage instead of running these 2 copies of Signet Mining, but given my history of bad hands, I just felt like that being able to have as many extenders and starters in your opening hand as possible is pretty good. So that's why I decided to just go ahead and run 2 copies of Signet Mining. You want to open with this card, but you don't want to open with too many of this card, because it is a hard once per turn. Then afterwards, 2 copies of Melody of Awakening Dragon, and then afterwards 2 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. Melody, of course, lets you search for your Blue Eyes White Dragons, as well as Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Return of the Dragon Lords lets you special summon level 7 or 8 monsters from your graveyard. Speaking of revival, I do run 2 copies of World Legacy Guardragon and World Legacy Succession. Kind of in the same case as Signet Mining, you don't want to have too many copies of Guardragon in your deck. So that way, in case you're able to get the effect off of Ib, and you already have either one of these 2 in your opening hand already, then you can search for the other one. So in other words, if you already have Legacy Guard in your hand, you can search for Succession. If you have Succession in your hand, you can search for Legacy Guard. Then afterwards, 2 copies of Dragon Shrine, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 for 1, and last but not least, Monster Reborn. Dragon Shrine, of course, lets you send 2 monsters, 2 dragon monsters actually, from your deck to your graveyard, just in case, just as long as the first one is a normal monster. Foolish Burial, of course, it's another being able to send monsters from your deck to your graveyard. 1 for 1 brings out your level 1 monsters from your hand or deck, and Monster Reborn lets you special summon a monster from either player's graveyard. Perhaps the most important synchro monster in this deck right now is Ib the World Chalice Justiciar. So in case you guys don't know what this does, if this card is synchro summoned, then you can you can search your deck for any World Legacy card. Also, if this synchro summon card is sent from the field to the graveyard, then you can special summon a World Chalice monster besides Ib from your deck or your graveyard. Being able to plus off of each of those effects is pretty cool. And it's really important that you able to extend as far as you can, so that way you can achieve that huge disruption board that a lot of people want to go for. After that, the rest of the synchro monsters I run are Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, and finally Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. So Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, it's mainly here just so that I can bring out my Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, which lets you target a special summon monster that your opponent controls and then bounce it. Of course, you guys can replace Moonlight Dragon with Azure Eyes Silver Dragon if you want to. I mean Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, it's here so that you can bring it out with Guardragon Agripane in the midst of your combo. And then afterwards, the Xyz monsters I run are Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, Full Armor Photon Dragon, and Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Harbinger lets you negate the effect of a spell card that your opponent has activated. Photon Lord lets you negate a monster effect, and it lets you destroy that monster if you have a Galaxy card that is attached to it. So in case you're not able to bring out your Galaxy Serpent on time, then you can bring it out with Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord's effect and attach to it as material so you can get that additional destruction effect. Full Armor Photon Dragon, you overlay it with Photon Lord as material, and you can pop a card on the field. And now for the Link monsters. The Guardragons are still alive and well, so you might as well take advantage of them while you can. Of course, you run one of each of the Guardragon Link monsters, Elpie, Pisty, and Agripain. Elpie lets you special summon a dragon monster from your hand or deck. Pisty lets you special summon a dragon from your graveyard or if it's banished. And Agripain lets you special summon any dragon monster from your extra deck. In this case, it's Archfiend Abyss that you're basically going for. Or you can special summon Blue Eye Spirit Dragon or Moonlight Dragon if you want to. And for the rest of the Link monsters, I run Link Kuriboh because I run level 1 monsters. Beat Cop from the Underworld, it's basically an extender basically it's here so I can send off my Ib as well as one other monster so I can get it into the graveyard to trigger Ib's effect. And then afterwards, Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, Saryuja Skuldread, and finally Borreload Dragon. Of course, you guys can replace Borreload Dragon with Borrelsword Dragon. However, sometimes I prefer Borreload Dragon just so that I can protect it from my opponent's card effects. Saryuja, of course, has 4 effects depending on the number of materials that you use for its Link summon. You can draw 4 cards and put back 3 if you use 4 materials. You can special summon a monster from your hand if you use 3 materials. And basically all the cards that are normal or special summoned to the zones that Saryuja points to gets a power boost if you use only 2 monsters for its Link summon. I don't run a Morphage Goliath or any of the Morphage monsters anymore in this build. However, if you guys feel very comfortable to run either a Morphage Goliath or a Morphage Sloth, in addition to Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, you can go ahead and do that. So before I go, guys, I did not want to leave you without showing you all the power and the extensiveness of these Guardragon combos. So for this combo, all you need is Draconet and your White Stone of Legend. And I'll be able to put out, let's say, I think 3 or 4 disruptions. So here we go. Normal summon Draconet. Then you go to special summon Galaxy Serpent from your deck. Send those 2 away in order to synchro summon your Ib the World Chalice Justiciar. Now you're going to use Ib's effect to search your deck for World Legacy Guardragon. Is it here somewhere? Yeah, it's here. So now you're going to activate World Legacy Guard, special summon Galaxy Serpent, send those 2 away in order to Link summon actually, your Beat Cop. It's here. Or just as long as it's a Link 2, at least a Link 2 that points to your own main monster zones, then you should be good. Now I'm going to use Ib's effect in the graveyard to special summon World Chalice Guardragon. Now send that away for World Legacy Guardragon Elpie. Banish Elpie from the graveyard, special summon Galaxy Serpent to a zone that Beat Cop points to. Now I'm going to send that away for Guardragon Pisty. Now you're going to use Elpie's effect, special summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, since both Elpie and Pisty point to the same monster zone. Now you're going to use Legacy Guard's effect, move your Pisty to the rightmost zone, and leftmost zone actually. Now you're going to use Darkness Metal's effect, special summon your White Stone of Legend to the graveyard. Don't worry, you'll be able to get this back later. What's important is that you're able to go into your Saryuja. This lets you get 1 net card since you Link summoned with 4 cards. Now, well, actually, first thing you're going to do is that you're going to chain link 1 your Saryuja, and then you're going to chain your White Stone of Legend as 1, lets you search for Blue Eyes White Dragon, and then chain link 2 Saryuja. So you're going to get your net cards off of that, and you're going to search for a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now you're going to special summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon from your graveyard, since Saryuja and Pisty point to the same main monster zone. And now you're going to special summon White Stone of Legend from your graveyard. Special summon your Blue Eyes White Dragon with Saryuja's effect. Send these 2 away for your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Now you're going to use White Stone of Legends effect again. Search for another Blue Eyes. Send these 2 away for Guardragon Agripain. Agripain and Pisty point to the same monster zone, so you can special summon your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Then send these 2 away for your Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. So, what do we have here? We blazed through quite a few cards right here. So, I was able to bring out 3 disruptions. One that I can, one card which I can basically move a dragon monster to any of my main monster zones. And I also have an additional Blue Eyes White Dragon, additional cards in my hand. And let's not forget that net card that we actually drew off of Saryuja. So, off of 2 cards, we were able to basically triple our card advantage. So that's just one of the many combos that you can try out with this Blue Eyes Guardragon deck. So that's it for this deck profile, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to help support the channel, then be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't so already, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you stay updated on my latest Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Also, be sure to leave the comments down below as to what other decks you guys would like to see for this new format. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I hope to see you again.